Hey, everybody. Oh, I'll look over here. Hey, everybody. Welcome to On Call with Ryan Rogers. Now, I built this podcast studio the last couple of weeks, and we're looking at different shows and different formats that we can bring into here to serve you guys better and to just sit down and have more long form conversations. It's Friday. It's 1:15. I said 2 o'clock. Ryan coming early. We figured we'll just go ahead and do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we can see your comments. So as you are watching, if you want to make some comments, go ahead and do that. We'll be looking at those. We have some questions from the posts we put up before. Now, the way this works, I want this very plain and clear. This is not medical treatment.
No.
This is not, you're not supposed to take this. Go see your primary care physician if you think you have alpha-gal, if you have problems with alpha-gal. When we answer your questions, it is 100% for entertainment, research purposes, whatever you want. It is not, whatever the lawyer told me to say, that it is not.
Plug it in there.
Yeah, yep. Plug it in there. This is not medical treatment. You should not diagnose yourself from TikTok or two middle-aged men doing a podcast. Right.
Always.
That is always true. We want to put that first and forward. So one of the things that as we swap cameras here, there's Ryan sitting over there. Wave,
everybody.
So we're going to do a 2-camera shoot where you have us here and you have Ryan when he's explaining things. And this is going to be about alpha-gal. Which we took a poll out and said, hey, what do you guys want to talk about? Because there's other things we want to talk about.
Sure.
But we like, what does you, the audience, want to talk about? And alpha-gal won wholeheartedly.
I think hands down. Right?
Hands down won pretty wholeheartedly. And we have done like little shorts, little explainers on alpha-gal, but we thought maybe we could answer some questions, come in. The other setup that I would like to do before we get to introductions with Ryan, and I'm going on, it's just in lives, you give a couple minutes to make sure all the systems are working, is that we are using verified medical research to answer these questions.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've seen in there, we may address a little bit conspiracy theories. Why is this? Why is that? We are only going to answer questions in a medical basis. True. We're not going to surmise. We're not going to summarize. We're just going to answer that.
No conjecture.
But your questions still matter, and we still want to talk to you about your questions. So as I flip it over to Ryan, I want to introduce Ryan for the people that haven't seen him. Ryan is a physician's assistant, and he also serves as a medical officer in the reserves.
Army National Guard.
Yep. And you have been at this medical stuff for how long?
Gosh, now it's like 15 years, which is absolutely...
So it's your first. It's not your first.
Not
day.
my first day.
It's not your first day.
Yeah.
You were also the owner, co-owner, however you want to say that. To keep you out of trouble, since it's
the boss.
The Valentine's, the boss. Optimized Health and Integrative Medicine.
Yeah, we've been at that now for like 2 years.
Yeah, and me and you have been working together for that same amount of time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ryan has come on here to do a lot of medical stuff for us, and as Lebanon now has grown, we have done that.
Yeah, I've watched it from little infancy to what it is now.
Yeah, and now this new studio. This is the first live in the new studio. Yeah. So if you're watching this, share it out. Tag some people. We do have your questions pulled up, so we're going to get to those. But my first question for you, Ryan, is let's just go over a basic premise of what alpha-gal is.
Yeah, alpha-gal it's insane in that there's so many factors that go into alpha-gal. I mean, you can kind of think of it as like an immune modulated interaction or reaction of a specific sugar that is typically given to us from a tick bite. And when that sugar enters into the bloodstream, it kind of starts that immune response, because in mammalian meat, mammalian fat, this sugar is where this sugar is mostly contained. And so when you eat a mammalian burger or, lamb chops or something that has, a high fat content as far as mammalian meat, what happens is that the immune response happens in your GI tract. And what's interesting about alpha-gal is that this is not like a typical allergic reaction. For instance, like when you're allergic to bee stings, these things happen almost immediately. You begin to develop hives, your body starts to itch, your lips may swell, your tongue may swell, you go into what's called anaphylaxis. This type of reaction, because of where this sugar is housed, when you go to digest animal fat, it takes about 2 to 3 hours before the immune or the allergic reaction begins to happen. And so it's different than other allergic reactions that you typically are familiar with because of the way that this sugar is packaged in the meat.
So this comes to my first question
Mhm.
is, what is alpha gal classified? Is it autoimmune? Is it allergy? Is it disease? Like how do we classify alpha gal? Because that was a discussion in the comments.
So it is an allergic reaction. So it's an IgE mediated allergic reaction.
Okay. So, because is it autoimmune?
Yeah.
Is it this? So it's an allergic reaction, but it's a weird allergic reaction because it's brought on by
delayed
tick bite.
Exactly. Yeah. And the Lone Star tick is the tick that typically carries this sugar. And it is an allergic reaction, but different in that it is delayed.
Yeah. So break that down for us again. So my other question would be, so when you say mammalian meat, because that's just red meat. So chicken, fish, those don't carry the same type for it.
Yep, that is correct. You typically are safe eating fish, eating chicken, even eating eggs. It's sometimes milk is sort of brought into this, but it's not everybody that sort of has that reaction to milk. But absolutely, it is, beef, pork, lamb, venison, rabbit, anything with a coat, basically or a hoof, basically you can kind of classify as this quote mammalian meat.
So I'm looking for the viewer questions we had on this. So we're seeing varying degrees of what would you call it, sensitivity to those things.
Yeah. No, that's true. And again, that's what makes it so, interesting is that one person, and there's no rhyme or reason as to why this person reacts one way and this other person reacts the other way. But, we can have as mild of symptoms as, say, hives versus a person is in full anaphylactic shock, needing epinephrine, needing, advanced life support to bring them back from the clutches of death. In fact, I think late last year or maybe early this year, we had our first countrywide case of a death because of alpha gal.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the Yes Honey soda brand, in Rotary, she was just presenting and she had told us that. And that was it. In weird places, because why alpha gal seems so serious is you find that animal protein in weird places.
Yeah.
It's not, you just think, oh, I ate meat.
Right.
But Jell-O is made out of bones.
Yeah.
Right. Which can carry that.
Absolutely. Gel capsules, like for instance, like pills that you may have. And, you've been taking these pills for the last, 15, 20 years. And then all of a sudden, boom, you develop this reaction. You're like, what is happening? I didn't even eat a hamburger, but it's the gelatin in the gel capsule.
Yeah. So it's become sort of a thing that you have to do this hide and seek with that specific protein.
Right. Yeah. Well, sugar, right? It's
or sugar. Sorry.
Yeah. And it's tough because again, because of this delayed response and time goes on, is it the pill that you took? Is it the meal that you ate? And the typical, presentation that we see is this person eats steak, something mammalian, meat, are fine, goes to bed, sleeps well, then wakes up at 3 a.m. in hives or anaphylaxis. And they're like, what the heck is going on?
Right. Let's talk about the diagnosis, because that was kind of a topic in some of the things that we talked about was just diagnosing alpha gal. So how is that? Because there was a lot of comments that we were misdiagnosed, or this happens or this happens. So what is the process of getting diagnosed with alpha gal if you think you have it?
So typically with an allergic reaction, right? You think there's a special kind of testing that's a skin test. It's a patch test where they go and they take
which is awful.
Right. They take a needle, right? And they dip it in whatever, antigens that, you may or may not be allergic to. And they just basically draw a little grid on your back. And then they just take that needle and poke your back. And then they wait 15, 20 minutes after they've done all of these different things and they see which ones sort of light up. And then that's typically the ones that you're allergic to. But truly with alpha gal, the skin testing isn't the method that which we use to diagnose this. When you are diagnosing alpha gal, it's kind of a twofold approach. You need both the serology testing, the IgE testing for that specific sugar that is positive, and then you also need symptoms associated with having eaten mammalian meat.
Yeah. So we got a couple comments. Is this I don't know the medical terms for it. That's why you're over there and I'm over here.
Sure.
Is this something terminal, lifelong? Are
No.
we seeing it cured? What are we seeing as the process of
Yeah.
going through there?
Typically what we've seen in the research is that the IgE response after about a year begins to sort of come down.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sensitivity to these mammalian meats typically begins to damper a little bit. And then, typically after about 2 to 5 years, and that's kind of the average, and I know it's kind of a long span, but 2 to 5 years, you can see complete clearance, and then you are able to then eat mammalian meat again.
Because I think that was a big confusion too.
Sure.
Or
Yep.
is it lifelong? Is it this? Because people are on this journey and all of a sudden they see, hey, I can eat meat again.
Right.
And which leads me to one of my next questions, which was a big one, was some of these, like I said, we're going to use medical, whatever for this, like acupuncture, electrolysis, all of these things.
Yeah.
There's an ear thing that I looked up that people are walking around with a needle in their ear and they're saying that helps. We're not saying that it doesn't help.
Yeah.
That's not what we're saying.
Correct.
We're not saying it does help, but as far as medically goes, are we seeing any of those treatments that are actually working?
So I'll speak in that for two different avenues, right? So I practice gastroenterology on a day-to-day basis. And so alpha-gal is kind of one of the things in, our wheelhouse that we see basically on a day-to-day basis, right? So what I have seen in terms of the literature is that those things are not supposed to work. And I will say that they kind of basically say, no, according to, the control group versus the group that gets the whatever in their tragus in their ear, those things basically are a null. There's no benefit, nor is there any, downfall for doing those things. But anecdotally, have seen patients that have sought out those treatments and certainly have gotten dramatic results from desensitizing themselves from eating mammalian meat to the point of even serology testing looking like that IgE antibody has come down. Mm-hmm. And so, that's the anecdotal part that I can say that, the literature says, these things probably don't work, but have seen and talked to multiple patients that have sought those out and have had pretty decent success with those.
And one of the other comments in here, and it got me to thinking, so we know it comes from a tick bite, but it seems like it's everywhere now. Yeah. Are all these people getting bit by ticks, or are we seeing any studies or anything that shows it might be transferred other ways?
So for now, anyways, at least the research that sort of goes into, alpha-gal is that it truly is from that Lone Star tick. Now, I will say that there's some other theories as to why potentially it has sort of exploded. Mm-hmm. And it probably has to do with a couple different things, but like injury to the microvilli that are in the stomach because of our poor Western diets. It kind of causes those microvilli to sort of shrink or get damaged, for lack of a better term. And then our cells, or our immunity, is about 2 to 3 cell layers deep beyond the inner wall of the bowel. And so because we have such poor diets and the microvilli are damaged, we're seeing more prevalence because there's not that, buffer to keep the immune response away from the inner lining of the gut. And so, I think that's kind of one theory that kind of holds most, at least logic in my mind, as to why we're seeing this sort of explode in the last 15 to 20 years, because that's kind of when our diets have sort of changed.
Yeah, fair enough. And we got a comment, and I think it was on when it on the timeline of getting better. Mm-hmm. Typically, some people get better, but it may worsen with new tick bites.
Mm-hmm. That is, yeah. So, for instance, if you do your 2 to 5 years, right, and you have completely, been cured of this, or the time has lapsed so that you are now able to eat mammalian meat. If you get bit by another tick that has that same, sugar, the chances of you getting this again is very, very high, and sometimes even worse than the initial time, because you've already built up that immune response.
And this lady's like, she's had it for 10 years. She's extremely reactive, can't like even fumes and vapors. So we're seeing like that goes back to, we're seeing a lot of different sensitivities in people.
Absolutely.
So there's not, especially with allergies, right?
Yeah.
Is that, somebody, we kind of the same thing, and tell me where I'm wrong in this. Kind of the same thing as a peanut allergy, right? Some people can eat a peanut, their face swells up, they get a little whatever, and then some people can eat them and die. So why is there any specific thing that causes those different reactions in people?
Not that we know of. And I do think it probably, obviously is patient specific, and also sort of how much of that sugar that you're exposed to, your own innate ability to build an immune response. All those things I think play a part in that. But, we really have no rhyme or reason why you may react as hives, and then this guy or gal over here has to carry around an EpiPen because they go into full blown anaphylaxis.
Oh, and Liz, you're very welcome. Liz was the one that asked that question. I kind of broke it down.
Yeah.
Other things. Brandon Connor has a question. Not really, but so other things that ticks carry. This is a little off track. He got Rocky Mountain fever.
Oh yeah.
And he said the only thing that I got out of that was about a week of my lymph nodes swollen, and then it went away.
Yeah. And the difference between those things obviously is that, if we can, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Lyme disease, ehrlichiosis, all those different tick-borne illnesses, those are vectors that can be cured, for lack of a better term, with antibiotics, right? So difference is that, the diagnosis of those, same kind of serology, but we're actually looking for, that specific bacteria that sort of causes those. And so we can treat those things with antibiotics. With alpha-gal, there is no treatment, right? It's just basically time, number one, and then not eating any mammalian meat and just allowing things to sort of effervesce, so to speak, to sort of get that IgE response down to its minimum.
Anna asked, have you seen people diagnosed who only have a reaction to specific animal, like beef versus pork? Is it all mammals?
Yeah.
And do the diagnostic tests give the ability to determine exactly which animal is throwing off that protein?
Yeah. Typically when we get it, it's called a RAST test, R-A-S-T, RAST test. And basically it does break down the three big mammalian meat category. So it's beef, it's pork, it's lamb. So, and keep in mind, the sugar is contained within the fat of the mammalian meat, right? Okay. So the fattier the cut of meat will make a difference. So for instance, a ribeye versus a Kansas City strip.
Okay.
Pork, versus lamb, right? And so when we get the results of those back, it will break it down to how sensitive or how reactive you are to each of those specific categories. And then we can go into more detail too with like other mammalian meats too, if you're finding out that maybe, if you're a rabbit eater, I don't know, but if you eat rabbit on a daily basis or that's your jam, am I reactive to this as well?
Oh, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
Let me go back to the comments here real quick, and you'll see me. Got to note that this camera's being a little glitchy, so we're staying on this one more. We're working all this out, guys. Yeah. It's our first live show in the studio. Nothing's wired. Everything's on stand so far. Let's see. I don't know if comorbidity would be the word, but people are getting alpha-gal and seeing other allergies come along with it. Is that a thing, or is it... the exact question is alpha-gal syndrome, and I seem to hear people becoming gluten intolerant too. Is that common? How critical is it? Gel cap, we already covered that. Histamine reaction. Do any allergy meds or steroids help with the symptoms of alpha-gal?
Yeah, it is an IgE response, so it is an allergic reaction. So typically, with these mild cases, we'll do a round of whatever steroids, depending on how severe that the case is, but using things like over-the-counter allergy medicines, cetirizine or fexofenadine certainly can have a benefit to kind of minimizing those types of responses. Diphenhydramine, Benadryl, those sorts of things can be beneficial. But those are just there to sort of minimize the symptoms associated with whatever your response is to that sugar when you eat the mammalian meat. And again, I mentioned it before, but epinephrine, right? So these people that have these severe reactions really should be carrying around an EpiPen because, they just are that dangerous. And if you go out and eat, or if you go out, and now places are having accommodating these types of allergies, and they'll have like this alpha-gal menu. But for instance, if it was the grease that was used had or touched another sort of thing, you run the risk of having that reaction just based on that.
Yeah. Here, Kim Schroeder asked a question. I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit because we've answered some of her multi-part question. How is it crucial to eliminate ingredients like glycerin, shampoo, soap, other things, other external things? Because I mean, we do pick things up and eat them and do what. I mean, if you're highly sensitive, of course, but
truly just that, you know what I mean? If you are highly sensitive, I think one of the patients that I saw, maybe her father or father-in-law basically was so reactive that they bought a truck that had cowhide leather and he would, for instance, roll his sleeve up or have a short sleeve shirt on and reach over and sort of like put his arm up on the rest of on the seat next to him, and would develop these hives just based upon that. So people, again, the sensitivity to this just is so varied, individual to individual, that depending upon what your quote unquote reaction is, certainly will make a difference in terms of how you manage it and also how you try to eliminate these other products that can potentially have that same sugar or be cross-contaminated with mammalian meat, mammalian fat.
Yeah. So, I'm learning a lot sitting here. I did some research, so I knew what questions to ask and what to do. There was a couple other questions. One, when it comes to diagnosis. So if you think you're struggling with this and you don't want to actually go through medical treatment, is an elimination diet kind of the first step?
Yeah. I think, in my opinion, and I kind of talk to my patients about this, but yeah, a general elimination diet certainly can help guide you in terms of what symptoms, you're having based upon what you're eating. So if you recognize that every time that you eat meat, for instance, that you have upset stomach, diarrhea, bloating, gas, these sorts of things, and you're like, man, what if this is alpha-gal? Right. And you don't want to go in and get your IgE tested, just eliminate those things from your diet and then run the experiment yourself. See what sort of things happen now that you've kind of removed those things, specifically just those things, because it's going to be hard to eliminate the other things without kind of prior knowledge. But eliminating the meat and see what happens as far as what your symptoms elicit, I guess.
Right. It kind of like any other allergy, right?
Exactly.
So what I've kind of learned through this, let's play a little bit of what have we learned, right? I'm kind of out of questions. We're going to stall for a few minutes. We got a few handful of people watching. And then we'll open it up for you to give any other information. It's an allergy, right? So we're going to handle it. If we have it, we worry about it. We're going to handle it like an allergy. One of the common things, if you watch anything Love to Now, we know Sarah does a great job here as my wife, and she's got celiac, right?
Yep.
And there's times we find she's more sensitive than others, depending on where she's at in life, right?
Yep.
Get a little cross-contamination. It's, I got a little annoying. Another day she's in bed because she got cross-contaminated. And it might be the same system that we've used. So we're seeing that variation in just like that.
Yeah, true.
That in a, it could last anywhere from a couple years to a longer time, depending on just your sensitivity and the way your body. So if you're already immune compromised or look, some of us have stronger immune systems than others, right? Like Andy Dufresne, you can swim through that and come out okay.
Exactly.
And then other people go outside and get sick immediately.
True.
So just your how your immune system reacts is how quick your recovery time is going to be.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. And just understanding what your limitations are. Different types of meat can spurn it, and there are tests to understand exactly which meat is doing this to you.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. One more question, Liz. Do you feel the current testing is accurate? Yeah. Do you feel the current tests are accurate?
I do. I think, again, because we've been studying this now for, probably 10 years or more, trying to figure out what the nuances are with alpha-gal, because it is kind of relatively a new thing. And certainly, knowing that and where it's caused from and kind of the reactions that happen, it's not like a mast cell typical allergic reaction. We've kind of figured that out immediately because, when we started looking into this, it's like, wait, it's not acting like the other, allergic reactions that we're typically used to, right? So then once they figured that out, it's pretty easy to get that assay and get that IgE specific for that sugar. And when that specific sugar has been introduced and that IgE antibody is sort of up like that, then we are, it's very certain that truly is the reaction because of the sugar.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up here, we got a few minutes left. You got some notes. Anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to put out there? I pretty much let the viewers lead the comments because that's what they're asking about. And if I and I tried to summarize some of their questions to make sure that we get the right answer.
No, I think, we pretty much covered everything that I wanted to go over. There are some things that we kind of know can make this kind of exacerbate this. So for instance, like alcohol, if you're drinking alcohol while you're eating the mammalian meat, we know that will sometimes exacerbate the reaction.
Is that because alcohol's kind of messes with your sugars and it can like intensify those?
Yeah, I think so.
Look at how much I'm learning.
That's great. Yeah, no, exactly. But no, you're right. I mean, when alcohol breaks down, what's it break down to? Sugar. Exactly. So I think, truly just that overabundance of sugar. And it kind of plays back to what I said before. Most of the time that damage to the inner lining of the gut is probably because of sugar, right? And so when you kind of get that inflammatory response because of the alcohol, the sugar that it breaks down into, it's going to create that activation of those immune receptors a little bit more than just say if you did it without.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Brandon just followed up. So you get sick from medication. Sorry if you already answered. I mean, you can, but yes, some gel caps have some of that in there. Could have that sugar in there because they're an animal byproduct.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. They use gelatin, I think, a lot of times to make those gel caps.
Yeah. And if we've ruined your day, Jell-O is made out of ground up bones.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, wait, I have something for that. Oh. No, that's not it.
That's not it.
That's not it at all. Nope, that's not it. There it is. It's a new soundboard. I'm trying to get used to it, but there it is. There's
There's no stickers on the buttons yet.
So he's
I've
got it. I've got to get that worked out because I could end my career hitting the wrong button. I don't want to do that.
Don't do that.
So thank you guys for coming in for this podcast. It's been about 30 minutes. I hope that we have answered some of your questions about alpha-gal. And once again, I'm going to have the guy that went to school for this correct me where I'm wrong. Is that there's sensitivity levels, so we're not just going to see two people that are going to react exactly the same. It doesn't mean a conspiracy theory. It doesn't mean that you have it worse than others. There's just going to be people that do others. Yeah. There's hidden animal products in everything. And one of those reasons, I'm not getting on a little bit of soapbox, is capitalism. We don't waste anything, right?
Right. Exactly.
We figured out how to make things out of this. Yes Honey person said the reason she went to doing soda is white sugarcane and some sorts of things are filtered through bone charcoal. So they literally take the bones, pile them up, make charcoal to use it as a filter, and those proteins and sugars and all of those things get passed along. So it's in a plate like you're drinking a soda and then you have a reaction.
Exactly. Yep. Same.
So it's not. I can't even imagine being allergic to something that is so prevalent in everything that we do.
Well, I mean, we're in the Midwest. This is the cattle company. My family's in-laws and my family both raise beef cattle. So if that happened, I don't even know, my dad would die. Right. He wouldn't have anything else to eat. What is chicken?
As I see my side view, I'm like, I went and told my wife because, you've helped me lose weight and I've done everything I can to put it back on, is that, cool, we're going to do 90 days of carnivore diet or something like that to try. And I can't imagine not eating meat. Like I can eliminate cake. I can eliminate cake. I can eliminate carbs. I'm not going to like it.
Yeah.
Right. And my wife, it was funny. Last night we were sitting there talking, just have a little talk here, is she goes, but I like broccoli. And I'm like, no, but I'm giving up cake too, which will be a much harder thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I literally ate like a 30,000 calorie cake for my birthday. That's what I did.
Listen, I love watching you do all the guests on here and just plowing through.
Well, yeah, no. So Foodie Friday is out for a retool as we're launching some other things. But we're going to start doing that from the restaurants. And we're actually going to have other people do it. Because if you ever watch that show, Man vs. Food.
Yeah.
And he had to quit because of his health. Like I used to do eating challenges. I used to do that stuff. And it was,
I have a buddy in the Army that, we drill together and gosh, we've been to places and just watching him put food away is
I
That's
watched
so
that lady
impressive.
like 190 some whatever that stupid amount of eggs
Yeah,
were. And my problem was her husband was in that competition too. So between the two of them, they ate like 300 eggs, then got on a plane.
Yeah, got on a plane.
Yeah, poor plane.
Drove in a car.
Poor plane.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
All right. So let's talk about Optimized Health real quick before we get out of here.
Sure.
Optimized Health and Integrative Medicine.
Yep.
You're a co-owner of that. You recently changed your model. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah. So we now do a membership model. And this basically kind of gives you access to me, right?
Yeah.
So, we sometimes will bridge a gap, like for instance, if you can't get in to see your primary care provider or things like this. So it just kind of gives you access to me. We also use compounding pharmacies like 503A, 503B compounding pharmacies. And what's important about compounding pharmacies is that they've kind of been able to bridge a gap and fill a gap where, big pharma is charging XYZ for certain medications. Compounding pharmacies are able to kind of take the same medications, kind of do their own little whatever magic that they do, compound it with a different medication, and then patients are able to afford it, right? And so it has been a game changer, lifesaver for people that are not able to get this through their insurance and are able to then take the same medicine that is offered through big pharma, but just now at this point giving them access to medicines that we know can help them.
Yeah.
And so with that kind of membership model, then you're just paying directly to the pharmacy. And we're out of the picture. We're just there to kind of facilitate you, getting on the path or changing lifestyles, plus using some pharmacology to kind of help rev up the immune or the metabolism a little bit.
Fair enough. And I love the system. It's great. The pharmacies you use has always been really top notch when it comes to it, and it's mail order. You go see Ryan, you pay Ryan's fee. You go see him, make appointments, do that. It's a monthly subscription service because everything's a subscription.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, what is health insurance, right? Right. It's legalized gambling with anyway.
True.
So I mean, really. But anyway, so yeah, and then you call the medicine in, the pharmacy contacts you, you pay the pharmacy, and they send it in the mail.
Absolutely.
I get all sorts of stuff from you. So.
Makes it very simple, makes it very easy, and just accommodating. Which again, I think these medicines that we're kind of prescribing, the hormones, the GLP-1s, those sorts of things. Certainly, again, we just know that they are important in terms of getting things kind of tuned up a little bit. So it's been great.
Do you guys specialize in anything? Or are you going to hang a flag going, hey, if you are really struggling with this, this is the thing we specialize in?
I think, those three things, and I would add peptides to the mix. So, hormone replacement therapy, testosterone replacement therapy, medical weight loss, and then peptides. Those are the four things that I think we see most people about. And I would probably, in that order, more or less, is hormones, GLPs, and then peptides.
And dudes out there, I'm going to throw a dude thing out here, is that I was feeling worn out. I was feeling down. And he sponsors this show and pays me money, but this is a real life experience thing. And we got on some testosterone replacement therapy. And as I just turned 48, I couldn't do everything that I do without that. Yeah. And you're an expert at just dying. You're like, oh, there it is. Yeah, right. Like, here it is. Here, and I'm like, whatever. And I held out on the testosterone forever. I'm like, no, I don't want it. Because I know once you start, there's things to that. And I would love to get a table of men around here and talk about that maybe as another episode.
Absolutely.
But I can't say good things enough about you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Gosh, thanks for having me, man.
I'm awesome. Not sure when On Call is going to be back. We're going to try to do it every week, every couple weeks. Look for polls to see what the shows are about. We want you guys to be engaged, right? But there are serious topics we need to talk about that maybe you don't. So we're going to talk about those too. Thank you. And everybody tuning into Lab Now, thank you. Have a happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Right. Yeah. And I'll see you later, Ryan.
Thanks.